One of the most infamously challenging threats in the entirety of Roblox stores is A-90. This entity is generally regarded as the hardest one to deal with in the whole game, especially to new players who have encountered it very little or maybe not at all. They are the driving force which stops people from getting to A1000 and getting the coveted badge associated with the milestone. So, in this video, I'll be telling you everything you need to know about A-90, including most importantly, tactics which may help you avoid them. I don't want to waste any more of your time, so with all of that being said, let's begin. Alrighty, so let's start by giving a brief introduction of the entity to those who don't know about it already. A-90 is an entity which is exclusively encountered in the room's sublevel, and although it can spawn anywhere during your playthrough, it is most likely to appear around room 90 and beyond, hence its name. At random points of the game, A-90 will spawn on your screen, typically with absolutely no warning, and when this happens, you must stop all game inputs, essentially meaning you must stop moving entirely, otherwise they'll jump scare you and take 90 health away. The fast reaction time required with dodging this entity is why many find it so difficult to counter. However, the developers were gracious enough to make this entity not instantly kill you, meaning you can be affected by it up to twice before dying, and having to restart the entire room's sublevel. Now, although A-90 seems unpredictable at times, and they can be, I've gone through the process of completing the entirety of the rooms nearly twice, and during that process I've noticed a pattern. Although A-90 can rarely attack you when you are isolated, they are most commonly encountered when you are facing another entity, such as A-60 or A-120. In fact, in both of my A-1000 playthroughs, I only ever encountered A-90 alone around 3 times, and most of the other times they appeared alongside other entities. Now, with that being said, A-90 attacking with other entities present at first seems to make the situation even worse. However, we can actually use this to our advantage, as it adds a layer of predictability to this otherwise very random entity. Moving on, now that we have explained how A-90 functions, how can we work towards avoiding them? Well, much like anything with this game, all it takes is practice. If you want to become a professional at dealing with A-90, you have to be exposed to them for extended periods of time, so you can improve your reaction time. Now, going back to the rooms, every single time you want to practice dealing with A-90 can become very time-consuming. So instead, I recommend attempting to get the Back on Track badge so you can unlock the Stop Right There modifier, which allows A-90 to spawn in the hotel. Now, this raises the question, that being, how can I get the Back on Track badge if I don't know how to avoid A-90, as you will almost definitely encounter the entity when attempting to get this badge? Well, I'd recommend attempting to get this badge through playing with a group of people. You see, in order to obtain Back on Track, you have to escape the rooms at any chance you get, and typically the earliest exit door is encountered around room 200. So, if anybody in your group makes it to room 200 alive and escapes the sublevel, everyone in your server, dead or alive, will receive the badge, meaning you can then practice A-90 using the Stop Right There modifier. Now, although practice is good, it isn't enough to successfully avoid A-90. Remember how I stated how A-90 will most frequently attack alongside other entities? Well, the panic induced by having to deal with 2 entities at once can often lead players to dying within the rooms. However, fortunately, as long as you can control this panic, you can successfully avoid A-90 the majority of the time. You see, in the rooms, there are only 3 entities which you can encounter. There is of course A-90, which we have discussed, however there is also A-60 and A-120, which both function similarly to Rush. Whenever either of these entities are paired up with A-90, it is important to note that you can't panic during this encounter. A-60 will automatically slow down if A-90 is present, meaning there will almost certainly be enough time to avoid both. A-120 by nature is particularly slow, so you will also have time to dodge them both if A-90 appears. Just make sure you are extra careful before entering lockers to hide from A-60 or A-120, as even entering a locker with A-90 present on your screen can cause them to attack. Another thing which helps your fight against A-90 is having a flashlight. You see, the rooms will naturally get darker the more you progress, and the game actually provides you with an essentially free renewable flashlight called the Shake Light in order to combat this. However, this flashlight is actually a trap. You see, in order to make the Shake Light produce light, you must constantly click it, and this can prove to be a problem as any game input will trigger A-90. So if you are charging your Shake Light and A-90 catches you off guard, you are dead. So to prevent this fate, you should always bring a normal flashlight into the rooms. Batteries will naturally spawn every so often in the sublevel, so it is very rare you will actually run out of charge on your flashlight. Additionally, the shake light is also very loud, so you might not hear other entities coming, so overall just bring a normal flashlight if you are attempting to beat the rooms. Lastly, the final tip I have when it comes to combating A-90 is to minimize the inputs you use overall whilst you are in the rooms. For example, when walking, just use the W key instead of all 4 WASD keys, as it is easier to stop one input than multiple in the event that A-90 does spawn. Anyways, that was essentially everything about how to effectively combat A-90 in Roblox stores. Again, the biggest help you can get is practice, so make sure you practice extensively with the entity using the stop right there modifier before you attempt to reach A-1000. Let me know if this video helped you in the comments, and with all of that being said, thank you all for watching and I hope you enjoyed.